Okay,
Welcome to the Patreon, the chosen
right off
few.
The app.
Doing it right off
dude.
the app, sliding right into it. It was pretty. You know what was great about the app is my internet worked, and that's a sad bar to have. It's like the internet. It's like, how's the podcast? Like, who cares? We weren't glitching. You know, everything's going well.
You know what's amazing? It worked. It wasn't even great. The episode was fun, but the internet, I'm like, it did cut out a few times. When we're in person, it's gonna be so good. I can't fucking wait till we're in person.
This is like running with ankle weights on. That's what recording remotely is, because like you're like telling that to your grandkids, like, back in my day when we had to podcast, the connection was so bad you had to riff through the lag, you couldn't even hear them, and you were just throwing riffs left and right. I threw out my voice riffing while I was buffering.
That's our version of walking a mile to school, and like, it took me 30 goddamn seconds to get a call back.
Yeah. That's so great. That's it. It wasn't back. You couldn't just have the. You couldn't have a podcast zoomed into your forehead like you do now, kid. You had to buy a mic from Amazon and have it come to your house. Yes, back then it was just a delivery service instead of the overlord that runs our lives.
Back when I was a kid, we didn't have podcasts that were just AI generated from your most deepest levels of your subconscious fears and desires, telling you exactly what you wanted to hear. It was real people talking, goddammit.
What's so sad is that'll probably be true. I actually had to write jokes. Yeah, it's just like, everything you want to hear, and then everyone's podcast is just like, yep, you're right about everything all the time. You're like, wow, this is a really good pod. This is 5 stars.
These guys are really smart.
Huh, they're onto something. Turns out Jeff is under. Yeah. Whoa. Jeff's underappreciated? Wow.
Dude. All right, the juicy stuff. How was your week?
Good. It was good. For the Patreon, we're getting into it. It's good. I'm at a point where we're learning everything in my life is kind of like day one of as a sane person. You know what I mean? Because I'm starting over, so everything's very different. Where I'm like, wow, I went on a date, beautiful woman, we hooked up, and I haven't moved. I haven't moved to another state. I haven't reoriented my entire life because, you know, for people listening to the podcast that don't know me very well, you know, some trauma. I've had a little bit of some addictive tendencies because of that. So past relationships, whenever anyone sort of liked me, I literally have reoriented my entire life. Like, I once pawned a laptop to go on a date because I thought, like, well, this is never gonna happen again. I'm like, it's got a live one. I was dating, like, you were a starving fisherman, like, in a deserted island, and you're like, we got one, and you're like, it's on the rod, and you like had to pull everything you had, and now I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
Like, yeah, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll never believe he can fish, and he'll still only eat one fish a day.
Yeah, that's how I live my life. So it was pretty nice. Like, I was supposed to go on a date later, and she canceled because she was just like, I got this medical thing going on, and I'm not in a great mood. And I was like, oh, sweet. I guess I'll just enjoy my life. And I'm like, whoa, who am I? Like, there's so many like moments where I'm like, what? Like the Zoft is almost too strong. Like, the other day at work, like, I have, you know, an office day job, and I learned like a shortcut for spreadsheets. I'm like, this is so helpful, and I'm like, this is too strong. I was like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I just got excited by a keyboard shortcut. I'm like, doc, we got to go down. I almost thought, like, if I called my doctor, he was gonna be like, click a red button and be like, you're overdosing on Zola. You're excited by a spreadsheet. That happens right before your brain explodes.
You're becoming like a suburbs normie, dude. You're gonna start grilling.
Oh, don't you throw that goddamn evil my way.
Thing I could have said to you.
No, but it's like really cut. Like, I'm like at Walgreens, and I'm like, 2 for $1 almonds. What? I'm like, what the hell's happening? What the fuck is happening right now? Like, I was like, just especially.
Have I been lobotomized?
Yeah, I was like, from how weird my like life has been. Like, you know, I love my mom. My dad's a loon. Like, the most normal part of my life was screaming in front of strangers after working a demeaning job. My first ever girlfriend was like 27-year-old mentally ill woman who, when I met her family for the first time in Vermont, like, as like a, let's introduce, you know, get used to the family, like, her aunt took us into the bathroom and then pulled up like the makeup drawer. She's like, it's all boys that ever check the makeup drawer. Pulls out a bunch of Coke, puts out lines like, swear to God, as big as my face, and then goes, come on, guys, don't be pussies. And then I'm 19. I rail a fat line of Coke while I hear children playing in the other room. It's like a scene in a documentary, right? About how hard, like rock bottom. And then I'm just high as hell in the living room, like, oh my God, I love you so much. And then as I'm coming down from ferocious hard drugs, my ex at the time, was mad at me because he's like, you're not really being lively. Like, we're gonna go play cards with my family later, and I'm like, I should be in a hospital. I was like, I should go seek medical attention. I just abused hard drugs in front of children all afternoon. Excuse me if I'm a little out of it. And to go from that
19.
Yeah, to go from that to liking almonds, like, holy shit. Like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, your pleasure center is like, it's like you had to do like what's it called? Like Kegels? Like,
yeah.
Is that what it's called? Like the exercise? It's like it was so loose and stretched out. I'm like, you got to get it tight enough that almonds are exciting again.
Yeah,
That's quite a task.
Oh, it's a lot. Yeah, for someone to just be like, oh, you want to go grab lunch? And I was like, wait, what is there? Is there like something? Like, it's like so wild. You're like, no, you do hard drugs and you scream your thoughts in front of people and they go, yay. And like, it's pretty big. It's a
that's
pretty
excitement.
Big roars. Yeah, that's what it is. And so it's really cool to kind of be out. It's also nice to be like, I got those experiences and not be dead, and be on the other side and stuff. So no, continues.
It's so funny because we're at like different parts of our life where, like, I mean, I had a little bit of craziness, but nothing quite like that. But it's like I'm actually having the opposite thing now, where I'm like, I'm so anxious and my OCD can be so kind of debilitating that I'm like, what's actually good for me right now is I'm like, I need to loosen up a little bit. Like, I need to like go fuck. I need to drink a little bit. Like, I'm having the opposite problem where I'm like, I need to like be a little more like not out of control, but just like I'm gonna be bummed if I make it to 30 and I'm like, damn, I never really had like a wild
I also
phase.
love that you're such a like white suburbanite that like you're like, I really need to while out and occasionally fuck someone and have a beer. Like that's like your idea of enter the jungle is like having half a White Claw and occasionally
it's
like
so embarrassing.
It's someone eating your pussy like once every 3 years is considered like it's like considered so wild. That's truly the difference.
It's so embarrassing.
When I turned 21, my uncle I was getting drunk with my uncle, and he got so drunk he didn't mean to do a cartwheel. He just was bending over to pick something up and then fell forward into a cartwheel. It was actually kind of beautiful. I've never seen someone accidentally do gymnastics, but
I think that's how you started stand-up, actually, both of us.
Yeah,
I just so drunk you were about to pass out, and then you were like, ta-da! Actually, it was a magic trick.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all. Well, I'm loosening up in that like I don't need to have this like intense grip on like I need this and this and this to be happy. I'm like, no, fine. Things are fine the way they are and continue to be good. And that's a lot better than like my brain was so like zero sum. It was like either I kill the set and then everything goes amazing and then we get the Netflix special to save my family, or like I bomb and I'm like the worst person that's ever lived. Now it's like,
yeah,
fine.
No, totally. I had that like with guys too, where now I'm kind of like, okay, I like myself baseline, and so it's easier to be like rejection is not like an ultimate decider of your like worth. I think a lot of this is just like early 20s shit too. Like, I don't know. We're talking about it in the context of mental health, but I'm also like, I think everyone kind of goes to it. Well, I don't know. I was gonna say I think everyone kind of goes through it to some extent, and like
mine was
maybe
pretty
that's true.
But like definitely it's so much easier. Like for me, I'm just like, if someone like cancels a date, I'm like, just save money. Like in my head, I'm like, okay, then I'll just do what I want, I guess. Whereas in my head, I'm like, no, you're supposed to save me. You don't understand. It's like someone canceled like your insulin appointment.
Yeah.
It's just such a dark and unhealthy way to think about it. But so it's just, life's just a lot easier. It's just I do feel incredibly dumb for not doing this years ago. Because I was like, oh, I could have. Like it is like post-nut clarity, where like after you start taking antidepressants, you just look down at your life and you're like, I've made quite the mess. You're like, I need to clean this up. You're like, what was I doing?
Yeah, sometimes I'll like go back and read like, stuff from when I was like not well or not on meds, and it's like, whoo, it's just divorced from reality. It's like crazy.
Yeah, like a little over dramatic, pal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just feels like a lame dad like reading his son's journal where it's like, shut up. Like that's just how I feel.
Yeah, it's like it wasn't even interesting. Dude, I started working out again because Prozac's kicking in, it's being good, but I started weightlifting and I fucking love it, dude. Like I want to get ripped. That's my goal. I want to get fucking ripped. Not big, but just like to feel strong and be able to do like pull-ups and shit would be so fucking dope.
I want to look like a Israeli superhero. I want to look like Hummus Man, and then you just win. I just fly out of the sky, and they're like Hummus Man. They like put this giant hummus in the air. And I don't know, like because I run a lot just because I enjoy it and it's easy. And but then it's like, too, but then I just get fucking like real. I'll be like, I'm looking great, and I'm like, if someone punches me in the chest, like it feels like my skeleton will fly out of my body. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, oh, I'm looking so hot right now, and it's like it looks like a fucking like a fat guy from the Jersey Shore got stranded in the Andes for like 3 weeks, and then got rescued, and that's my body. Like it looks like someone who like was starving, you know.
Dude, and that's why I'm like, I have the opposite thing right now where I'm like, if I don't like work out, I have very like Pixar mom energy, you know what I mean? Like I have very like picking the boys up from soccer practice ass, and I don't want that. I want to be like a young 24-year-old person. And so I have the opposite thing where I'm like, we gotta get ripped, dude. And it just seems like fun to like, I don't know, it seems fun to, like I want to be able to like arm wrestle men and be like fucking put up a fight, you know what I mean? I mean that would take a lot, but like
I just saw like little old Maddie in the gym being like, I'm gonna arm wrestle. Like it's like, well, maybe it's like you think it's just like such a naive thought. Like you just win an arm wrestle and they're like, well, we got to fix the wage gap now. Like you defeated men, you did it. Like it's like who cares?
So you know what's fucked up is it's almost I'm like oh, it's like flirty. Like I flirt too much like a bro where guys are like, you're not flirting, you're like challenging me to a fight. Like
yeah, you're like, I win an arm wrestle. If a girl challenged me to an arm wrestle, I'd be like, what is happening? Right? I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that at all. You can wrestle your arm into my asshole. That's the only thing I want to.
That's not hot to you, even in like a.
No, muscular women are hot to me, but those hands need to be around my neck. Otherwise, what are we doing? What are we doing? Yeah, I love muscular. I love a strong. Oh, I want to be the trophy. I would love to be like a stay-at-home like piece of ass. Like they're the breadwinner, and I'm just around to like look pretty and say like a clever comment, and they go, "Oh, you," and they're like, "Get back in there, toots," and I'm like, "All right." You know, like if I had like a hot boss bitch wife who's just laying, and she's like, why don't you grab me a martini and let me slap your ass? Oh, that'd be good.
You want a girl boss?
Oh, I do. Absolutely. 100%.
A girl boss CEO.
1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the question. What is the trade-off between anti-capitalist sentiment and super powerful hot wife? Like how evil of a job could you tolerate to be a trophy husband? You know what I mean? Like you can be a trophy husband.
Right now that dude, when you're broke, you start getting some thoughts. Like in my head, I'm like, if I started like seeing a doctor, I'd be like, oh, my condom broke. I guess we're intertwined forever, and your wealth is my wealth. Like I'm gonna like pull, like you start getting like parasite thoughts, where you're like, and then my brother will be the babysitter, and my mom's working at the office. Like it's just like we get the whole famine. Like my cousin's going in the building. It's just like you pull the pussy eyes, dude. That's the easiest way. People are like, women want to trap you. I'm like, no, dude. I'll shoot sperm bullets to save this fucking fam. Okay, you think, you motherfucker? I got an agent on the inside. I got me growing in you.
Oh my god, that's the scariest thing I've ever heard in my life. Actually, this is like my nightmare. That's so scary. Yeah. Not you, just like a guy being. That's so scary.
Yeah, it's a disturbing thought, but But
you're like Raytheon CEO.
I couldn't.
No.
I couldn't. I think I could. I could hook up with a Raytheon CEO for a little bit, but I don't think I could ever love anyone who was. If they're like, oh my god, yeah, work was stressful. Like they're killing less people in Ukraine, so profits are going down. So Daddy's gonna have to stage another war. Like I couldn't. I was like. A couple years ago, I was hooking up with this girl that worked in like healthcare, and then she was like talking to her friends, and they're like, "Oh, it's just so stressful." Like telling people, like, "Oh my god, like that's just not covered, and that's like not my problem." And they're like, and they're just like buying like $20. Anytime anyone says margs in terms of margarita, just run. That's just run far away from that. They're basically like the police sketch of a person. Like they have the outline, but there's truly nothing in there. That's just an invisible.
That's the biggest turnoff to me, where I can't fuck someone who it's like there's just nothing behind the eyes. You could be so hot and successful, but I'm like, if there's not like a, you know what I mean? Some people just like aren't on.
Yeah.
Like some people are just.
And I envy them.
Automaton, like yeah.
They're just running around like
Margs is very like a no light behind the eyes kind of a thing.
Margs is like. You know, there's a chicken that had its head cut off and lived for like 30 days. They're basically that. They're the chicken with the head cut off, and they're like,
the
Margs.
chicken with the head cut off was a nursing student who was getting Margs.
it was like I just remember them talking, and I'm like, oh. Of course I did the guy thing where I'm like, oh, I gotta fuck her and get out of here. Like in my head, I'm like, well, we gotta do first, and then we're gonna skedat, get out of here. But like, yeah, it was just God. It's just I can't. It's definitely like I find like, and this maybe be the sweet part of me. Like, you know, it's hotter than sex. A good morning text. Like if someone texted me and be like, "How was your day?" I'd have to change my pants. Like I'd have to like change my pants right now. If someone's like, "Oh my god, I hope the pod goes well," and like, "What are you up to today?" I'd be like, I'm like, "You fucking care?" Like that's hot to me. You know what I mean? Investment. And that's why this is why I get toxic, because I like jealous women a little bit. Like I was like, I love jealous women.
No, it's really hot when someone gets jealous over. It's not hot if it's in an actually possessive, like I'm mad at you way, but it is hot if it's like, oh, it bothered you a little bit.
Yeah,
like somebody else was looking at me. That's incredibly hot.
Like I went on a date with this person once, and then I brought my phone to. I think I was just checking the Uber, and she's like, "Who you calling?" And I was just like, "Oh, you care if I'm calling?" Like, because I'm like, "You believe in me." That's what that is. It's like you think I could cheat on you. That's beautiful. That you like have that level of faith in me. Where it's like you date someone too healthy sometimes, and they're like if that's your truth, and you're like, "Well, shut up." Like you can't. It's gotta be some push and pull here. Like what's going on? You know.
No, yeah, it feels good. I remember when I got this scar on my face. I remember the guy who, before we ended up dating, he was like, our other friend had his arm around me in the hospital, like checking me in, and he was like, I was like kind of jealous of that, and I was like, oh my, but it's just so funny that was my like cute little like a boy was jealous that another boy like, and it's like I'm bleeding down my face, and I was like, I've never felt so pretty.
Kind of the perfect metaphor for your love life. Just you bleeding and someone going, "Oh, I guess I like you," and you're like, "Wow."
God. You know what's so fucked up about this scar too? When I got it, because I got it outside of a comedy club because I fell and hit my head on a rock, and my dad was like, "We can get you like this, like, you know, stuff that you can put on it so that it'll like not scar over while it's healing." And I was like, I got this scar from comedy, dude. I don't want it to like.
I want to throw the mic at the camera. That's the stupidest shit. That's
not
so
in an actually
stupid.
like I think I'm fucking whatever, but in a kind of funny way. I was like, no, it's silly. It's like a fun story, and so I left it, and now I kind of have this like scar on my face that is like.
I got a little. Have you ever noticed that? I don't know if we talked about it.
I have
like
thing up here. I mean, it's not super noticeable, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so like it's not like I fell in a bed frame when I was a baby. I fell in the metal bed frame.
Oh, I remember that.
And it cut my
I remember you
skull
telling
open.
me that.
Yeah, and so there's like a dent in my skull, if you feel it. So I love from even as a baby, there was just like, let's just see how many, just smack this head up against
the amount of like concussions and brain damage that you have had, like, it's like Sam Kinison level where you hit your head and one day you're like, like.
The great thing is it's still standing. Still out here doing it. Still formulating. Actually, I think the last one worked. You know, I think I feel
like
very
reset you.
I feel like very normal now. Yeah, I think this will be it. That'll be like my quarterly spa. Like I just smack my head up against the wall and I'm like, whoa.
It's like when you know, your computer's not working, so you unplug it, you let it die, you turn it back on. That's what you do to your brain. It's just like a kind of factory reset.
Yeah, just a couple times, and it's the worst injury to get. It's for by far. You have to just because you're like you can't do anything, so you just lie in a bed like an 1800s hospital patient, and you just stare at a wall.
Dude, I had like a really probably like minor thing because I was trying to learn soccer and I was like headbutting a soccer ball over and over again trying to bounce it on my head like out in the hot sun all day. Then I came back and I was like, ugh. But the feeling of your brain hurting is so fucking crazy that it's like
it hurts to think.
Insane.
I was opening for you and I remember like it would take all this adrenaline and I would just do a normal set, and then afterwards it just is like dying on the couch. Someone just comes up to me and I'm like, I can't do that. I can't talk to you anymore. Like that was it. What you just saw was the whole thing. That was all I could do.
That's all I got.
That's all I got. And speaking of just dumb things you do with your brain, did you ever have like a really stupid hobby when you were a kid that you thought like this is gonna make me?
Bro, I mean, I had that as a fucking adult. I started making rugs during the pandemic, and I was like, I'm going to sell my handmade rugs, which were kind of fun. They were cute, but it's not going to be my job.
No.
I'm not going to be
a
rug lady.
It's just so funny. We're like, it's time to get serious and start making gemstones. We're like, we can't focus on comedy.
Maddie, it's time to buckle down.
It's time to buckle down and really get into haikus. Like it's just like such a wild, like it just really shows how like mystical your brain is. Where it's like I'll make like you have no idea how a normal life is even remotely. Where you're not like I'll be a server. I'll do something else. You're like, well, what other craft did you think you were gonna take 15 rugs to your landlord and be like, yeah, that's cool, right? like what? What are you doing? No,
it was like genuinely really fucking stupid. I made a couple, but I think I probably lost money overall. I have one I'm making now for a friend, but now it's like for fun. It was like wildly impractical. And I did work at Home Depot at the same time. But no, why did you have one?
I had a couple. Well, when I was a kid, I thought, and I still stand by this, skateboarding's cool. The coolest thing a kid could be as a skateboarder. And I thought, that's it. I perfected. The problem was I was morbidly obese, which is a little bit of a problem.
Wait, didn't you like break your arm or get a concussion or something on a skateboard? Like you had some bad accident, right?
I broke my collarbone so bad it had to be reattached with metal screws, and it was also. I remember I woke my mom up in the morning, and then she was just like, "Oh my!" Because I was just like shirtless and I'm bloody. She's just like coming into consciousness, and then she's like calling her friend to talk about it. I'm just like bleeding, and my dog's like, "Can you take me out?" And I'm like, "Get the."
Oh
but
my God.
You know what's sad is at the time I thought it was like a spa day because I'm like, I get to have surgery. Everyone's asking how I am. I'm high as hell. I got like a week off.
No, I think that's so true. There is something very erotic isn't the right word, but like weirdly intimate about like surgery and like a doctor where it's like, yeah, they're asking you all these questions about yourself. People are bringing your food. You don't even need to like. It's like I remember I had to get this surgery over COVID to get this like thing removed from my back, and ended up being a pretty intense surgery. I mean, just not intense. It wasn't like open heart surgery, but it was supposed to be just like local anesthetic, and they cut it out, and instead they were like, it went deep, and they were like, oh, we think you might have like sepsis, like this might be like a bone infection, like it was just like a whole thing. And I ended up being in the hospital for like 4 days on like oxy and a morphine drip, which was fun as fuck.
Which is awesome. Yeah,
but those 4 days, I was like, this kind of is not the worst thing in the world. I mean, obviously, if you're in an extended stay in a hospital or you're having health issues, like that sucks and that's horrible.
Yeah.
But like,
I think
for
a
temporary stay, I was like, I kind of love
spa.
this.
Like, I think if I need to relax, things are getting stressful, I'm just gonna get my appendix taken out. Be like, do you have a problem? I'm like, no, I just want to be in the I'm like, no, just open me up, have some hot nurses around, pump me full of the good stuff, and let's just chill. Let's just
give me nice little hospital sweet potatoes and a fucking IV drip of drugs. I mean, I was coming out of. I think everyone has different. A doctor told me this one time that like everyone has different responses to coming out of anesthesia. Like I had anesthesia to get my wisdom teeth out, and they were like, some people come out of it crying, they're really disoriented when they come back, but every time I've gotten surgery and come out of anesthesia, I'm so giggly, and so it's one of the best highs I've ever had is when you're coming out of surgery and coming back online. I feel it's so fun. It is so fucking fun.
Yeah, I like it. I remember the time.
I don't even know what drug that is, but
that's like time travel. Well, you know what's funny? As a teenager, I felt like I was I had juked the system because like I was I don't know, 15, 16, who knows? All the years blend together. But like I had to get my wisdom teeth taken out, right? And then like but when they told me that, they had given me the script like, here's some Percocet for when you get the wisdom teeth taken out. So I was like, hey, Mom, we got to run to Target, so make sure I get these meds for when that happens. Me and my friends ate all of them in like 2 days, right? And then the deal was, I'm like, when I get my wisdom teeth taken out, you guys have to hook me up with like booze and weed to numb the pain of my wisdom.
You cannot smoke weed.
No, you're not. It's like super medically advised. Do not do that, but I did. So when I got my wisdom teeth taken out, I just got super drunk and smoked a shitload of weed for like 4 to 5 days. And when I went to the doctor, they were like, "Wait, so you're eating solid food yet?" I'm like, "Yeah, I ate pizza yesterday." And then they looked at my gums and they're like, "Oh, I've never like it's like wildly healed." And so, like
it worked.
It worked, is what I'm saying. The degen method worked. They were like, you shouldn't even be.
Pharma, dude.
I beat Big Pharma.
We don't need Big Pharma. We don't need fucking doctors. You just gotta smoke weed and your body will heal itself, man.
Dude. At the time, it was the worst thing that could happen for my teenage psyche because it was like, I'm on to something. They're lying to us. Where it was like, I was like, I just smoked my bros
so
dank ass weed,
dude, my grandma
and I'm healed.
Happened when she was like. Oh, sorry, there was a lag for a second. My grandma had a similar thing where she smoked every day. She's been smoking a pack a day since she was 4 years old. Like I mean, I don't want to air out all her business, but it's a Patreon, whatever.
Yeah.
She would like take her mom's cigarettes, smoke them. Like she smoked over 1 million cigarettes in her lifetime. We did the math. Like crazy strong smoker, multiple packs a day when she was older. But she went to the doctor and they were like, "You have the arteries of a 17-year-old." Like, she just won the fucking genetic lottery and, like, arteries of a 17-year-old dude. Like, she's probably healthier than me.
I think that's winning life. If you get to just do the most unhealthy shit, then you're like, no, you're good. And I'm like, whoa, we did it. You know? Like, that. But the reason I brought up dumb habit is, so when skateboarding didn't pan out, I was like, it's time to get serious, get into a real hobby like parkour. So parkour, I thought I was gonna really.
No way. Are there videos of this? Please tell me.
It was a short-lived.
KENYON.
It was a short-lived thing because I was also again fat and uncoordinated. But I was watching.
I want to see the video.
I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I thought, well, before we get out on these streets, we need to practice a little bit. And one of the things you practice is you do like a side kick to get you up, right? But it was probably high at the time or something. But so I was like, let me just practice in the house first. And then I tried the side kick and immediately kick a hole through the drywall. I just ninja kicked a hole into the drywall and then attempted to move a couch to hide said hole. And then my mom just saw a giant hole in the drywall, got so pissed, like was screaming out like, you're fucking crazy. And then I had to like, it was even more pathetic where I was like, no, I was trying to be a ninja, but not cool. And then she was like, you're the dumbest person that's ever lived. So then I stopped forever.
Dude, parkour... That's so fucking funny. Parkour had such a grip on like, it was probably around the same time when I was the same. Like it was big on the internet, and my friend's older brother and his friends were so into parkour, and they would post these videos of them like jumping off the roof of the house onto a bush and like flipping off like the elementary school. Like they would go and climb it, and I was like, they're so hot. Like I had such a crush on them, and I was like, these guys are so cool. And looking back, I'm like, it was like a 15-year-old jumping off a roof. Like I was like,
no,
but the guys who did parkour were so fucking cool.
It's like it's just suicidal Olympics is all it is. It's just really just like woo. Dude, it's just almost dying.
Well, then you see the videos of people who really, really do it, and it's like they're in like fucking on like a skyscraper in Berlin, flipping off onto another building. It's like. I'm surprised you don't hear more news stories about those people dying.
Yeah, I mean, it's
kind of nailed it.
The open mic for that is just breaking your spine forever.
Yeah, truly. Dude, I stayed with someone in an Airbnb one time. I stayed in this Airbnb in New York, and it was like one of the guys who lived there was like a professional like urban cave dweller, I guess you could say. He like gave a TED talk about it, but basically he would do like parkour and like scale buildings, and then also like go into like underground like tunnels that had been abandoned by the city. So like old subway routes that were like no longer in use. He would go, and then, oh my God, I don't know if I've told you this. It's fucking crazy. So he met a guy down there who lived under the city when he was like doing all his like he would go into, you know, like old subway routes that haven't been used for 100 years. And he met this guy who lived in a little hole in the wall in this like subway. It's not on the maps or anything. Wait, let me start over. That's why they would go down there, because there aren't maps of this stuff. It's all old and abandoned, so the city doesn't track it. So they would go down under New York City, find all these underground old subway tunnels, and then make maps of where they all were, and would like talk to each other. And there's this whole community of people who chart that. And then he found a guy who lived under one of them, and he was using wires to siphon electricity off of the subway line so that he had like a TV and electricity and a whole setup, and he had a little house fucking under the city, and he would go up and get food and bring it back down, and he lived under there for like years until the city caught him. But he had like a fully functional like
so he did it.
Electricity.
There's someone who did it. He's like,
yeah.
He won in capitalism for sure. He beat it. He figured it out.
Going off the grid is one option, but the better option is to steal from the grid secretly underground.
I love it. It's like, so we figured out like where a retirement home is. Our retirement home is chilling on that guy's couch. It's chilling on the subway man's couch.
Living with the rats underground.
That's one of the craziest things I've ever heard. I don't even know. I'm
insane,
glad to know that my dad's hero exists. You know, and he has a name, and he's down there.
It's the goal. Damn, dude, we hit a half hour. Thanks for tuning into the Patreon. I feel like this is a fun ep.
This is a good time. Thanks so much for supporting us. We're going to, we post a lot of clips and stuff on our Instagram. Like the pod, tell your friends. Leave us a 5-star. And, appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Have a good one.